Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm Jennifer Youngblood, and I'm so excited to have you here on my second YouTube Live. I'm going to be reading Chapter 2 of Kisses Over Candlelight. If you missed Chapter 1 last week, be sure and look in the comments and you'll find the link for that. So I've got some fun giveaways for you today. The first 3 people who comment will actually win a copy of The Cowboy and the Billionaire's Daughter. That is book 2 in the Almost an Angel series. And also, one random person from the comments will win a copy of Taylor Hart's book, The Stone Family Inn. So I'm really excited to get started. Austin, my wonderful son and assistant, will be tallying up those winners, and so I'll be announcing those after I read Chapter 2. So here we go. Let's see. Oh, I'm looking here at some of these comments. Lynette says, cute graphics. Thank you, Lynette. I was really excited about seeing those. They were really fun. I see one that says, good afternoon, Jennifer. Looking forward to your Chapter 2. Awesome. Someone else, let's see. Carrie says, hey. Denise says, hi. Let's see. Who else is... Country Dancer says, sounds fun. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining me. I get so excited, and I get excited when I can respond to your comments. Okay, so here we go. Without further ado, this is Chapter 2. And I'm going to be putting my glasses on, but I'll try not to look straight into the camera so you won't have a glare. So let me go ahead and get started here. So this is Chapter 2. Okay. In the next instant, they were standing in the middle of an old warehouse turned factory. Gracie counted 10 employees working rapidly. Where are we? We are at Beautiful You, an up-and-coming health and beauty company that specializes in making natural bath and body products. The manufacturing area is down here and the office is upstairs. Gracie looked over to where a woman was placing labels onto clear bottles. At the next station, a man was squirting white liquid into those bottles. Another was screwing on the lids. In the far back corner, she could see a man operating what looked to be a shrink wrapper. Bath and beauty, huh? I love this kind of stuff. She caught herself. I used to love this kind of stuff. Geez. A wave of sadness engulfed her. This almost angel thing was starting to get to her. She shrugged off the despondency and turned to Gertrude. Can they see or hear us? Nope. We're in the invisibility mode. I want you to get a feel for your assignment before you get thrown in. Thrown in, huh? Peculiar choice of words, Gracie mumbled, and then turned her attention back to the workers. So I'm invisible. She stepped up to a heavy-set man wearing a lab coat. Hey there, she said in a booming voice. The man kept working. She got up in his face. Nice glasses. Mind if I try them? She reached for them, but her hand passed right through them, causing her to lose her balance and stumble into him. She jerked back and shuddered. Ooh, that was weird and kind of cool. Hey, she yelled at the top of her lungs. I'm talking to you. The man continued working, oblivious. Gracie glanced over her shoulder at Gertrude and then decided to throw caution to the wind. After all, she was already dead. What was the worst that could happen? She took a couple of large steps into the center of the room and spread her hands wide, assuming a Broadway stance, and began singing at the top of her lungs. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. She went on performing for a couple of seconds before she caught a glimpse of Gertrude, whose arms were folded tightly over her chest, her fingers tapping like she was on her last shred of patience. She gave Gracie a look that could kill. Well, it would have killed had Gracie not been dead already. Then she looked closer and caught the slight twitch at the corner of Gertrude's mouth. Yep, just as she suspected, a teddy bear underneath. Gracie stopped singing mid-sentence and smoothed down her sweater. Julie Andrews. Gertrude arched an eyebrow. From The Sound of Music? I know what you were singing, she answered huffily. I'm just not sure why you insist on making a spectacle of yourself. Gracie made a face. Well, I was just testing the waters to see how it feels to be invisible. Are you done? I guess. A smile stole across her lips. Unless you want to hear another. Absolutely not. It's obvious you were an actress rather than a singer. That rendition was nothing like Julie Andrews. She straightened her shoulders. Enough shenanigans. Let's go upstairs. I want to show you one of your first assignments." "Oh, one of them?" Gracie said dubiously, as if I have more than one. "It does take more than one person to constitute a relationship." She motioned. "Come on." They went upstairs to an open space that housed half a dozen or more offices with people eyeing their computer screens and punching away on keyboards. "So, which one of these lucky people do I get to help?" She glanced at the mousy-looking woman with the wire-rimmed glasses that were a size too large for her face. "Her?" She fluffed her ginger curls. A few fashion tips would do wonders for her. Gertrude gave her a sharp look. "No need to be insulting." "Sorry," she said contritely. Diplomacy had never been one of her strengths, and she had a tendency to blurt things out without thinking. She would have to work on that. "It's not her, but her." Gracie looked at the back office that was enclosed in glass. An attractive brunette was busily working away. "Her?" "Yep." She shook her head. "But what help could she possibly need? She's beautiful, the kind of girl that could get any guy she wants." "The first rule of angeling is this: don't be taken in by first appearances. Things are not always what they seem. Come, let's get a closer look." They stepped into her office. Gracie carefully studied the woman, who looked to be in her late 20s. She was dressed simply in jeans and a sweater. Shiny, straight, chestnut-colored hair bounced on her shoulders, reminding Gracie of one of those Clairol hair color commercials. Her skin was flawless, and she had dark blue eyes that looked almost violet. She wasn't the flashy model type, but rather more like the beauty next door, although with looks like hers, she could have been anything she wanted. How could this girl need any help? "Look a little closer," Gertrude prompted. "See how tired she is?" Yes, Gertie was right. She was a touch pale, and there were circled shadows underneath her eyes, like she had not slept well the night before. Her nails were bluntly cut and in need of manicuring. There seemed to be a nervous edge to the girl. "What's her name?" "Alexandria Swanson, but she goes by Alex." A bookish man in his mid-20s barged into the room. We have a problem," he announced. Alex looked up from her desk, her expression wary. "What kind of problem?" Because of the snowstorm, the shipment going to Harold's supermarket has been delayed and won't arrive until Friday. Mr. Fraser is livid. He's threatening to have all of our products removed from his store." She leaned back in her chair and picked up a pencil. "Surely Mr. Fraser understands that we can't control the weather." "I tried to explain that to him, but he won't listen." He began wringing his hands. "I don't know what to do. This never would have happened had Dawson been here." She jerked like she'd been slapped. "What did you say?" The man began blinking rapidly. I didn't mean to offend you. I was only suggesting that maybe you should look into getting Dawson back, or someone like him, I mean. You really should consider calling Leeds Michael. He would be perfect for the job." "Yes, you've mentioned that a few hundred times," she said dryly. "Well, maybe you should listen," he countered. Alex eyed him for a full minute before blowing out a breath. "Give me Mr. Fraser's number. I'll call and have a chat with him." The man looked relieved. "Thank you." He hurried for the door. "Chad?" He stopped and haltingly turned around, his eyes darting from side to side like a scared mouse. "There'll be no more talk of Dawson. I told you I would get around to hiring a new marketing director, and I will in my own time." She gave him a meaningful look. "Do you understand me?" "Yes," he croaked. "I understand." He practically ran out the door. Gracie looked at Gertrude. "Wow, she's tough. Who's Dawson?" Gertrude only shook her head. The phone began ringing. Alex picked up the receiver. "Hello?" "What?" "If the body creams weren't in stock, then why was the online site showing they were?" "How many dozen did they order?" "And they're going to 50 stores?" She let out an exasperated sigh. "No, I don't want you to tell them that we can't fill the order." She raked a hand through her hair. "Let me think. There has to be a solution here. We've worked too hard to get into those stores to drop the ball. We'll have to run an extra shift for the rest of the week. Have Danny call the temp agency. Everyone who works will need to sign a non-compete." The woman that they'd seen placing labels on bottles burst through the door. Before Alex could ask any questions, she yelled, "You have to come to the bathroom. Nalda has locked herself in and won't come out." "What are you talking about?" Alex jumped up. "What happened?" The woman's face was cherry red. She was on her computer one minute, and the next she was knocking everything on the floor. They ran down the hall toward the bathroom. This doesn't make sense. Nalda is normally so level-headed, the picture employee. Did she throw her computer on the floor too? Yes! She ran out and barricaded herself in the bathroom. I tried to talk to her, but she won't answer. Alex tried the handle. As expected, it was locked. So she knocked on the door. Nalda, it's me, Alex. No response. She knocked louder. Nalda, open the door. They heard a click. Alex tried the handle again. This time it turned. She opened the door and went in. There sat Nalda on the toilet. Grady and Gertrude had been following the action. Gracie recognized her as the mousy-looking girl with the glasses that were too big for her face. Her face was tear-stained, and she was clutching a wadded tissue. Alex stepped up to her and put a hand on her shoulder. Are you okay? What happened? He broke up with... She gulped and started sobbing, her thin shoulders heaving up and down. Who? Jerry, I thought he was going, more sobbing, to ask me to marry him. But instead, he sent an email and said he wanted to break up. Alex shook her head, her expression going soft. I'm so sorry. Nalda's lower lip trembled. I really loved him. These things happen to all of us, Alex said. I know you won't believe me, but it will be okay. Her voice was calming, as if she were speaking to a child. Nalda blew her nose loudly. Gracie jumped back, startled. Geez, maybe she could hold on to her man if she didn't blow her nose like a foghorn. Gertrude popped her on the arm. Ouch, she yelped, gingerly rubbing it. Don't blame me for having the nerve to call it as I see it. Shh, listen, Gertrude hissed. I know it doesn't seem like it right now, Alex continued, but you will get over this. You're a lot stronger than you realize. Really? Has something like this happened to you? Well, not exactly, but I did recently lose someone I cared about very much. Nalda gave her a knowing look. Dawson? She nodded as a pained look came over her face. Yep, but I realize now that I'm much better off without him. I've moved on, and you must do the same. Nalda looked doubtful. Really? Alex said, giving her a reassuring look. Nalda nodded. Then she stood and threw her arms around Alex. Thank you for being here for me, she gushed. Alex gave her an awkward pat on the back before pulling away. Her voice grew businesslike. Okay, now we need to talk about what happened. Nalda's mouth began moving at warp speed. I'm so sorry about the computer. I promise I'll pay for it. You can deduct it from my salary, she finished, giving Alex a pleading look. Alex stood there as if debating what to do. Finally, she let out a breath. Okay. A grateful smile broke over Nalda's face. Thank you. You're welcome. She held up a finger. I'm only doing this because you are a wonderful assistant and I appreciate all the long hours that you put in lately. But I have to warn you, if anything like this happens again, as much as I hate to, I'll have to let you go. I understand. Thanks, Alex. I owe you one. You can repay me by getting back to work. Nalda gave Alex another hug as they walked out the door. Gracie and Gertrude hung around for another 5 minutes or so, long enough to see Alex put out yet another fire. She's certainly a powerhouse, Gracie said, feeling a mixture of awe and envy. Alex was so put together and sophisticated. How was she supposed to help a woman like that? She was a nobody, a wannabe actress who never actually made it. And when it came to relationships, well, she was the last person who needed to be giving advice. Don't worry, you'll do fine. You'll find everything you need to know about her in your angel guide, Gertrude said, interrupting her thoughts. Gracie was confused. My angel guide? The device I gave you. Oh, yeah, okay. Technology really wasn't her thing. She hoped the device would be easy to use, otherwise she'd be in trouble. You'll need to get up to speed on Alex, her past, her likes. Who's the guy I'm going to fix her up with? Has she even met him yet? Gertrude chuckled. Oh, yes, she's met him. His name is Dawson Allen. Gracie nearly swallowed her tongue. The Dawson that nearly caused her to rip that poor man's head off in her office? The one she said she's better off without? That Dawson? Yup, the very one. He used to work for Alex until she fired him. Fired him? Yup. Gracie frowned. Why? Oh, you'll read all about it in your device. Now let's go and meet Dawson, shall we? She waved a hand. Suddenly, they were standing in the middle of a large room that had expensive wood paneling and ornately designed carpet. Gracie glanced around and saw that people were sitting at tables. Is this a restaurant? A country club? Wow, it looks exclusive. Gracie's attention was drawn to a man who was about to dig into a plate of succulent-looking crab legs, butter sauce for dipping, and a loaded baked potato. Her mouth watered. Were angels allowed to eat? Gertrude motioned. This way. They walked across the room to where a handsome couple was seated at a quiet table that was tucked away in a corner. The woman was wearing a short knit skirt that accentuated her athletic legs. She was blonde, with delicate copper highlights, the kind of hairdo that cost a fortune to maintain. She was leaning seductively into the man, hanging on his every word. The man had strikingly handsome features, and his dark hair was tousled and spiked on top. He was dressed in a suit and tie, and there was an intelligent light in his dark eyes. Lean and sinewy, she thought he was probably tall, but couldn't tell for sure because he was sitting down. He had a quicksilver quality, the kind of guy who attracted attention wherever he went. But he seemed to be oblivious to the interested glances he was getting from the pretty redhead sitting at a nearby table. The blonde noticed it, though. She scowled at the other woman and placed a proprietary hand on the man's wrist. Gracie chuckled. She had seen this scenario play out a time or two before. That was the trouble with a man who was too good-looking. He was like a piece of meat dangling amongst hungry wolves, or in this case, felines that were on the make. It was obvious that the blonde had gone to great lengths in order to procure her quarry, and she wasn't going to give up easily. So, who are these people? The man is Dawson Allen, and the woman is Brooke Matthews. Really? That's Dawson Allen, the man I'm supposed to fix Alex up with? Yep, he's the one. Brooke started laughing at something Dawson said. It was the low, throaty laugh of a woman used to getting her way. Then she leaned in and gave him a full kiss on the mouth. Gracie made a face. Get a room, was the first phrase that came to mind. Dawson pulled away, looking uncomfortable. It was then that Gracie saw Brooke shoot the redhead a look of triumph. That whole charade had been orchestrated for the redhead's benefit. Gracie shook her head in disgust. She didn't like this Brooke Matthews one bit. Too bad she'd gotten her claws into Dawson. She caught Gertrude's eye and realized she was also eyeing Brooke with disdain. Gracie felt a sudden kinship with Gertrude. Maybe the two of them weren't so different after all. So, what's the story here? Gracie wanted to know. Listen, and you'll get most of it. They moved closer. Mother booked the Ashton Garden for our wedding. They have an indoor reception center, but I'm afraid it still might be too cold. He chuckled. In May? I would hardly think so. This is Dallas, after all. He lifted the water glass to his lips and took a long drink. But it's not in May. It's in early April. The corners of his mouth turned down. What? She gave him a nervous laugh. Darling, we talked about this, remember? I really want to have the wedding at Ashton Gardens because they have a classically trained 5-star chef, and the venue is large enough for all of the guests. Okay, what does that have to do with a change in the date? We agreed on May. There was a note of finality in his voice. Gracie pointed. Look at him. He's clutching that glass for all it's worth. I'm no expert here, but if I had to call it, I'd say he's stalling. She shook his head. Talk about cold feet. Of course, I can't say that I blame him. If he had a lick of sense, he'd run for the hills. Run, Dawson, run! Save yourself while you can, she bellowed at the top of her lungs. Gertrude grunted in response. Red blotches started climbing up Brooke's neck. We decided to have the wedding the first week of April because Mother and Daddy are leaving for the European vacation the third week of April. He lifted an eyebrow. Who's we? You never discussed it with me. There was a definite edge to his voice. A panicked expression came over her. Well, Mother and Daddy and I talked about it. I thought you and Daddy had already discussed it. I don't discuss wedding plans with your father. But the two of you are always in the office together. I just figured. We work together, Brooke. The two of us run the agency. We don't sit around and discuss wedding plans. He rubbed a hand across his forehead. I can't believe you arbitrarily changed our wedding date without asking me. He gave her a withering look. I'm not marrying your parents, Brooke. I'm marrying you. He removed his napkin from his nap and placed it on the table. You know what? I'm not sure this is going to work. Her face fell. Don't say that. You don't mean it. The fact that I'm marrying the boss's daughter is hard enough. I just don't know that I can deal with having your parents in the middle of our business all the time. I'm starting to feel trapped." Tears pulled in her eyes. I'm sorry. I should have talked to you. You're blowing this way out of proportion, and all the hustle and bustle, it just slipped my mind. I have worked so hard to make sure everything is perfect, have tried so hard to keep you happy." He gave her an incredulous look. "Really? Is that what you've been doing? Because it seems to me that you're more worried about your parents than me." "That's not fair." She thrust out her lower lip. Dawson shook his head and looked away. Brooke reached for his arm. "Hey, don't be mad. I'm sorry." She fluttered her eyelashes and looked demurely at him. "Daddy tells me that you're doing great things at the agency." He grunted. "I wasn't going to tell you this, but Daddy's also been talking about stepping out of the business completely." This caught his full attention. "What do you mean?" She picked up her fork and began picking at her salad. Her voice was deceptively casual. "I heard him talking to Mother the other day. He said that he's thinking about retiring." A hopeful expression crossed Dawson's features. "Really?" She sighed. "That's what he said. And if that happens, then he'll turn the agency over to you." Dawson gave her a suspicious look. "Did your father say that?" Well, not in so many words, but he trusts you, Dawson. Soon you'll be a member of the family, his son-in-law." "I seriously doubt that Stuart would turn everything over to me," he said sourly. Well, why wouldn't he? You practically run the whole agency now anyway." "Yes, but your father doesn't see it that way. He's always looking over my shoulder and second-guessing everything I'm doing." "You're being paranoid." "No, I'm not." "Daddy second-guesses everybody. It's his nature." Dawson gave her a scrutinizing look that caused her to squirm. "And why are you telling me this now?" "Well, you've been so keyed up about work that I thought it might help ease your worries." He didn't back down an inch. "Do you really think I'm marrying you so that I can get ahead in my career?" Her face strained. No, she blurted. "I don't think that at all." "That's exactly what she was getting at," Gracie piped in. She looked at Gertrude. "At least he has the good sense to recognize it." Dawson's jaw tightened to a hard line. "Let's get one thing straight. When and if Stuart ever turns the company over to me, it will be because I've earned it, not because I'm your husband. Do you get that?" Brooke let out a high-pitched, grating laugh that had the same effect as a fingernail scratching down a chalkboard. Darling, I wasn't trying to insinuate that our marriage has anything to do with your job. You've gotten where you are because you're extremely talented and hardworking. Daddy recognizes a good thing, and so do I." She gave him a coy look, which seemed ridiculously out of place given the circumstance. "Let me make it up to you," she purred, trailing a finger up his arm. This is where Gracie expected him to laugh in her face and leave the table in a huff. She was appalled when she saw his shoulders relax. Brooke leaned in. "I'm sorry." She gave him a doe-eyed expression. This seemed to mollify him a little. She ran a hand through his hair. "You're so cute when you're angry." Her voice grew sultry. The tension eased from his face. I guess I was overreacting a bit." She flashed a bright smile. "Of course you were, darling, but it's perfectly natural. I told you, you won't have to lift a finger for the wedding. I'll take care of everything." "You idiot! Can't you see that she's playing you? For goodness sake, stand up and be a man." Gracie crossed her arms tightly over her chest and glanced at Gertrude, who shot her a disapproving look. "What?" she muttered. "I didn't say a word," Gertrude countered. "You didn't have to." Gracie rolled her eyes. "How am I supposed to help him when he obviously doesn't have sense enough to get out of the rain? He's like putty in Brooke's hands. Maybe he's better off with her than Alex." "We don't make the rules. We're given the assignments and we help. It's as simple as that." "You mean we force people to get together," Gracie added, not trying to hide the disgust in her voice. Gracie peered over her glasses. "Is that what you think?" She laughed. Heat rose in Gracie's cheeks. She didn't appreciate Gertrude's condescending tone. "Well, what else are we doing?" "We don't force anyone to do anything. We simply help people, persuade them to see a better way. They have to choose their own path." This was becoming more confusing by the minute. "You mean we aren't getting Alex and Dawson back together?" Gracie could tell from the flushed look on Gertrude's face that she was becoming flustered from all of the questions. But Gracie couldn't help it. She needed to get this angel thing straight in her head. "Our goal is to create an environment that will give them the chance to recover all that they've lost. What they do with that second chance is entirely up to them." Gracie mulled this over. So you're saying that angels aren't always effective? Well, yes, we're always effective. She gave Gracie a sharp look. But the people we help have the freedom to choose their own course. We can't force anyone to do anything. What Gertrude was actually saying was that even angels didn't have a perfect track record. That was interesting and a little unsettling. Gracie had just assumed that it would be easier to reach perfection once she was on the other side. On the other hand, if other angels had failed, then that meant that there was room for her to shine. If she could succeed in getting all of her couples together, then she would be a cut above the rest. It was something interesting to think about. For the first time since her death, she felt a twinge of excitement. Her mother had always accused her of being overly competitive. Maybe she was, but if it kept her going, then what was the harm? She gave Gertrude a sly look. Have you ever fallen short of the mark in your attempt at matchmaking? What? Oh, what's your record? Gertrude's face tightened. What kind of a question is that? She asked stiffly. What's wrong, Gertie? Afraid to let me behind the curtain? You really are insufferable. Her face was now beet red. Gracie laughed. Maybe. What's your record? She persisted. She jutted out her chin. I'll have you know that I've been successful in all of my assignments. Really? She leveled a doubtful look at Gertrude, willing her to tell the truth. Gertrude broke the connection and became interested in picking at a spot on her suit. I thought angels were supposed to be honest, she taunted, biting back a smile. It was fun needling Gertrude. She was an easy target, so uptight and serious. If you must know, I've only had 3 assignments that didn't go as planned. Oh, wow, that many? Her head shot up. That's not a lot considering the large number of people I've helped. Well, how many have you helped? I'd rather not discuss that at the moment, if you don't mind. Gracie could tell from the daggers that were shooting from Gertrude's eyes that she'd taken the goading too far. I'm sorry to be asking so many questions. I'm just trying to get a feel for things. She offered a contrite smile, honest. I didn't mean to offend you. I have this bad habit of saying the first thing that comes to my mind. Indeed. There was an awkward pause, forcing Gracie to break the ice. Well, what's next? You will spend some time learning about Alex and Dawson, and then you will need to develop a plan of action. She made a face. I have to come up with it? Yes, that's the way it works. Well, what do you think I should do? Gertrude shook her head. I'm here to assist you. This is your assignment. As the actors say, you're running the show. Her eyes met Gracie's. So don't mess it up. I'll try my best. Gracie took one final look at Brooke and Dawson, who were now leaning into one another and laughing at some private joke. One thing was absolutely clear. If she were to have a prayer of reuniting Alex and Dawson, then she would have to separate him from Brooke. And at the moment, that seemed to be an impossible task. Gertrude might as well have asked her to make it snow in July. Dawson, I'll see you soon, she said, as Gracie waved her hand and the scene before them disappeared. Okay, that was fun. That was the end of chapter 2. So now let's go on to the giveaways. Oh my goodness, I love seeing all of these amazing comments. You guys are so awesome. Let's see, let me just read a few of them. This is by Thomas Muller. It says, love the accent. Thank you. It stuck to me like glue, I'm afraid. You can tell I try to do the other voices and it gets a little bit hard. Oh, let me take my glasses off so that you're not seeing this glare. I've been really trying to work on the men's voices, but whew, those are hard. You can tell. Lynette said you should narrate your books yourself. Oh, thank you, Lynette. I feel so self-conscious, but it's fun. I'm actually really enjoying it. It is a learning curve, though, for me. Let's see. What else, you guys? Oh, Denise said, I love that you were singing it. Thank you. That was fun. That's one of my favorite songs. I used to sing it to my boys when they were little. Okay, so let's go on to the giveaways. So we're going to do, let's see, Austin, let me ask, okay, yeah, he's got, so here's what we're doing. Okay, so the first 3 people who commented will get ebook copies of The Cowboy and the Billionaire's Daughter. That's book 2 in the Almost an Angel series. And here are the 3 winners. Lynette Hall. Let's see. This is STEM Appalooza. Is that the person's, probably the person's like name, the person's call name, and then we have Carrie Fountain. So you three are the winner of the Cowboy and the Billionaire's Daughter. If you would just send me a quick email at jennifer@jenniferyoungblood.com so that I can make sure I have your email addresses to send those out to you. And then the winner of Taylor Hart's book, The Stone Family Inn, is Denise Sears. So congratulations. Okay, now this is our $10 Amazon giveaway. This one is actually open to all of my newsletter subscribers. So if you don't belong to my newsletter list and want to get in on this, you can go to the link at the bottom of the video and sign up. I have so much fun with my newsletter. Those of you who belong to it know that there are lots of goodies, lots of freebies. Just by joining, you will get a free copy of my book, Beastly Charms. So I will be doing another giveaway next week. So if you want to get in on that, be sure and subscribe. But the winner for that one is Andrea Johnson. And Andrea, I'll be contacting you. You won a $10 Amazon gift card. Okay, so I've been looking forward to this. This is something new this week. I wanted to play a little trivia game. So here's how this will work. So I'm going to be asking 3 questions about the book, and you will put the answers in the comments. The first one to get the answers correct will win, and we will be announcing those winners next week. But you will win a copy. I just have a new collection that came out today. It's Series 2 in my Romeo Family Romance series. And anyway, it has 4 books, and I'm excited to be offering that next week. So you'll get that for free. So here are the questions. Okay, number 1. What is Gracie's middle name? Okay. Number 2. When Gertrude changed Gracie's outfit to Gracie's favorite, what type of shoes did Gertrude give Gracie? And number 3, what was Gracie trying so hard to get to at the beginning of the novel? Okay, so those are the 3 questions, and remember to answer those, and then I'll be announcing the winners for those next week. Okay. Austin is just helping me out here. So if you see me talking, this is me talking to Austin because he keeps me on track. He said, be sure and answer in the comments. So that's where we'll be looking for those. If you missed chapter 1, go back and look. The link is also at the bottom of this video. And if you love audiobooks and want to hear some of my books, I've got a lot of audiobooks that are up now on YouTube where you can listen to them for free. I'm going to continue reading this book. I want to read the whole thing, and I hope you will continue joining me. I will be back next week for the next YouTube event where I'll be reading chapter 3, and I'll be announcing the winners. So thank you guys for joining me, and thanks for being such awesome readers, and thank you for your comments. Have a great rest of the day.